Everyone loves DACA, and everyone wants more. But can you ever have enough? As the great philosopher Archimedes said,
"Enough DACA is more than you got, but less than too much. And there ain't no such thing as too much DACA. This is the essence of WA."
Very few people have understood and embodied this philosophy better than Alexander Kartveli and the other engineers at Republic Aviation, who one day in the spring of 1940 looked at a milk jug and said, "What if this could fly?" and had a gun. No, 8 guns. And thus, the P-47, America's most heavily armed single-engine fighter, was born. With its 8 50-caliber M2 Browning machine guns, the Thunderbolt brought Allied DACA from wow to which is why we're building this, the AuthentiKit P-47 Throttle Quadrant. And all we need is a 3D printer, some commodity hardware, a few simple tools, and a little bit of space at the kitchen table. My name is Greg, and I welcome you to my workbench. Let's go get started. First, we need our 3D printed parts. The design files are available as a free download from download.authentikit.org. The site also has useful tools like these loose fit calibration widgets, as well as an instructional video that explains what loose fit calibration is and how to adjust your slicer settings for it to ensure the parts fit together easily without the need to faff about with a bunch of post-processing. If you don't have access to a 3D printer but still want to assemble one of these, don't worry. My friend Cap here can help you out. Cap is part of the community-approved printing scheme. These are experienced and vetted AuthentiKit community members who can print these parts for you at a fixed mates rates price. Caps provide a high standard of customer service as well as a quality and fit guarantee. For more information or to be put in touch with a Cap near you, visit authentikit.org/CAPS. The Throttles download includes a bill of materials listing all of the hardware components that we'll need today, which you can either self-source or you can buy a kit like this from simkitsupplies.com. This kit has all the components that we're going to need for today's build. It has the RJ45 jacks, all the bearings, hall sensors, switches, magnets, screws, wires, everything we need today. If this is your first AuthentiKit control, SKS also sells starter kits, which includes all the hardware components needed to build the Universal Hub, as well as an upgrade kit needed for the expanded Universal Hub. So before we get on with the build, we just have a few last little bits of prep to do. We need to get a copy of the assembly guide. I prefer a printed copy, that way I can mark off the steps as I go along. We need to gather our tools. You probably have most of them in your junk drawer. We need 2 Phillips head screwdrivers, a PH1 and a PH2. We need a small flat bladed screwdriver. This is just to crush ferrules while we're doing the wiring, so the smaller you can find the better. We need a ruler, a pair of scissors, and a red-blue marked magnet. I also like to have a small dish or part tray to keep the smaller bits like the screws and ferrules from going everywhere, and a task light. I'm a fan of the ones here that clamp onto the desk. That way I can put the light where I need it and still have both hands free. And one of these screw testers. A lot of the M4 screws we're going to be using look pretty similar, and you don't want to get them mixed up. If the screw is too short, it won't bite deep enough and could pull out during use. And if it's too long, you could damage the internals.
Said the nun to the sailor.
I've put a link in the description for both the tester and the screwdrivers. Using this 3D printed template, we need to cut out 8 identical pieces of felt, and we need 4 MagHall 6803F assemblies. We need 2 red, black, green, and 2 red, blue, white. For the red, black, green, we need a 20 centimeter and a 30 centimeter. For the red, blue, white, we need a 25 and a 35 centimeter length wires. And I've just marked each one so that I don't get them mixed up later on. We also need to fill the recessed letters on the prop, boost, and mixture knobs using a white acrylic caulk. There's a couple other parts that are intended to have white lettering, but we have a choice with those. We can either print them out like these, with the recessed lettering and fill it in like we did with those, or we can print them with raised lettering and put in a color change to switch from the black to the white. Or if you're feeling really frisky and you got a multicolor printer, you can have a lot of fun with the slicers, paint tools, and just go wild. And all we have left now, before we do the build, is go put on the kettle. Have a quick cup of tea. I'm not joking. Take breaks. This is a more involved build than the F4F throttle we made last time. So it's a good idea to walk away from the table every so often just to make sure you stay fresh. Step 1. We're going to insert the boost lever into the boost knob. There's a screw hole on the back of the knob there, and there's a screw hole on the side of the lever. So we want to make sure that those go on the same side and that those line up. And once they are together and on, we are going to secure that using an M2 6mm self-tapping screw. Now this is a really tiny one, so you want to make sure you're using that PH1 screw bit. Otherwise it's going to be a little tricky to get it in with a too large screw. There we are. That is then secured. And now we're going to attach one of our felt cutouts onto the boost frame. We want to put it on this raised portion here. So just peel off our backing and attach it. We can now set these aside, and we're going to move on to the prop lever. So just as we did with the boost lever, we are going to put the prop knob over the prop lever, this part here, and just like before, line up the holes. Holes are lined up. We now secure that one with an M2 6mm self-tapping screw. We take the prop lever lower and attach it to this prop lever upper, like so, and we connect them using two M4 8mm countersunk screws. Now we're going to take two more of our felt cutouts and we're going to attach them to the prop frame and the prop spacer. So you want to find the ones that have the P on them. On the frame, we put it on here just like we did with the one for the boost. And on the spacer, we're going to put it on the opposite side from the letter. When you're putting these on, you want them to come as flush with the edge there as you can, the rounded to the rounded. Okay, and now we set these aside and we do our mixture lever. And just like the other two, we're going to attach the knob to the upper lever, lining up our holes. There we are. And we're going to secure that with another M2 6mm screw. And now we connect the mixture lever to the upper, lining up two holes there, and we secure that with M4 8mm screws. Now we take our mixture frame and put a piece of felt on here. Now we take our front plate and flip it over, and we're going to attach felt to the back here. We want it to be opposite of where it says mixture. Placement isn't incredibly critical, but a good spot to shoot for is so that the ends of the curves are in between the two screw holes here. From the feature cutting in here, just make sure you actually put that a little bit higher up because you don't want it to interfere when you put the plates together. Now we're going to take the friction wheel shaft. We're going to insert it into the friction wheel from the back here, just like that. And now we are going to connect it to the front plate with an M4 20mm round head screw. Now, setting these aside, now we're going to attach belts to the throttle frame and the throttle spacer, once again following the curve at the top. And on the spacer, we put it on the opposite side from the recessed T. With that done, we're finished the first page of our instructions. And so now we're going to move on to the switch assembly for the throttle knob. Step 19. We need to put the ball spring plunger into the angled hole of the on-off switch back. This is relatively tight, so you really got to make sure that you've got the proper calibration set up on your printer. It might take you a few moments, but it will go in. And once it's in, you just seat it all the way so that the rim is flush with the switch top there. Now take one of the dowel pegs and insert it into the larger hole on the pivot body. There's a smaller hole there, larger one on this side. This is the side you want to put it in. And depending on your tolerances, it might be a little bit looser or harder to get in. And then with the flat side down and the peg facing you, take the proto lever with the flange down and that little ledge facing away from you and slide it up into the pivot body and then slide the peg and then slide the peg in. Now we need that to go in a little further, so we're going to take the second dowel and use it to push the first one in as far as we can. And if you need, you can use a small screwdriver to push it the rest of the way in. Now we need a 56 centimeter length of blue and yellow wire. Now we need to strip off about 5mm of wire from one end and give it a good twist so it's nice and straight. And then we need to put a ferrule on that. I got a little bit extra on there because what we want to do is get the ferrule on and then bend that wire back just to keep that from falling out of place. And we need to do that to both wires. I'm going to deviate from the instructions here. They say to do this part after you wire the switch. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the blue wire, put it through that little hole on the switch case, and put the yellow there. And now we want to put the yellow wire on the middle peg. And the blue wire on this peg here. And now carefully feed the wire the rest of the way back through. And once you have that in place, you want to give those ferrules a good crush. Now we take our micro switch cover and we take two 12mm M12 screws, put them about halfway through. And now position it In the switch case here, over the micro switch, this part goes over the posts and the wires, and the 2 screws go down into the micro switch. Like so. Now take your PH1 screwdriver and screw those in place. Give it a gentle tug, make sure they're secure. I'm gonna give that a little bit more. Now we need the pivot body and proto lever from before. With the large hole facing away from you, flip the switch over to the left, and you're going to slide it into the top of the micro case here. And once it's in, it'll be flush. You want it to be able to trigger the switch, and that's it. Perfect. Now taking the 2 parts of our switch case, we put them together. Make sure that make sure that the lever here is pointing that way towards the micro switch, and put this in like so. And we secure this with 2 M3 6mm screws on the side. And we take 2 more M3 6mm screws and put them in on the bottom of the case here. Now we're just going to take a quick break from the build, and we're going to test the wiring, make sure that it's all good before we go and lock this away forever inside the handle. So now to test this, we're going to hook it up to an RJ45 jack. And we're going to follow the water injection wiring. So what we need to do is we're going to connect the blue wire here, skip one, yellow wire there. And we're going to strip just a little bit off, maybe 2 millimeters. Not a lot. We just want to make sure that there's enough wire there to actually connect to the teeth, because with all of the pulling and cutting and the like, sometimes the insulation goes past the actual wire. So we put in the blue, and the yellow. So now, to test the switch, we take our universal hub, we disconnect it from the computer, and we connect the switch to H7. And now we reconnect our hub. And in game controllers, now that it's hooked up, we select AuthentiKit, Properties, and we test our switch. So this way it should be in the off position, nothing's lit up, that is good. Switch it to on, and it's working. So now we attach the switch top to the switch using 2 M3 6mm screws. And then with the switch to the off, we take our switch nameplate. You can either use with the raised or with the lower, or with either raised or recessed lettering, and we can attach it onto here. Once again, using 4 M3 6mm screws. Now with 2 M4 10mm countersunk screws, we attach the switch outer enclosure to the Minic house side 1. And we want to make sure that we've got that lined up so that the channel for the wires is in line with both parts. Now with that attached, we take our switch with the wires oriented to our left. We're going to take these and feed them down through the hole and channel on the left side. There we are, and we just push the two wires through. And now just carefully feed those through, making sure that the wires don't twist and that you don't accidentally pull them out of your switch. And now we slowly lower the switch into the case. Careful not to pinch anything. And now we're going to secure the switch assembly inside the case using 3 M4 6mm countersunk screws. 2 on this side and 1 on this side here. Now you want to make sure that you're using 6mm. Anything longer and you can dislodge the micro switch cover inside and will break your switch. So this is a great time to use that screw tester. So the first thing we need is a 55cm length of green and a 55cm length of black wire. Just like before, use your nail, nip off about 5mm, twist it together nice and tight, put on a ferrule. And with this one, we want to bend it all the way back over the wire. There we are. Now we'll do the same to the green. Now we take our tactile switch. It will come like this, and we just need to get it set up to properly work with the Minic. So we want to bend 2 straight up, and the other 2 at an angle, like so. And now take your wires, and we're going to put them on that angled leg. This is a simple switch, so it doesn't really matter which post you use for which wire. Now we take our Minic body and flip it over, and are going to put your M3 standoff in here. And you just want the hex to match. And you want to make sure that it's not sticky. Perfect. And now take our switch, and we're going to put it inside here. You want the 2 legs that are bent all the way back over on this side here. And the angled ones over into here. Now we need to bend the wires forward and the pegs and crush them in place. And be very careful to make sure you don't go and hurt yourself doing this. So align the groove on the Minic body with the ridge on the housing and put it in from behind. Have your wires out this way because they're going to be coming down the channel inside the handle soon. We don't want them to get pinched around there. So that brings us to the tricky part. We need to take the wires and put them through the upper throttle lever. There we are. And you're going to carefully pull them in quite a bit. Okay, now put the green and black wire down the right side channel and be careful that you don't cross them over. So now, a little bit of slack. Gonna get our throttle lever in place, finish wiring those, and now holding these to make sure that they don't come out or get bind on anything. So we do not want to pinch those wires. We're going to very carefully pull that black and green wire through. Until we make sure everything has gone together. There we are, nothing should be in the way. Just gonna and now we secure these halves together using two M4 20mm screws. Excellent. So now we're going to take our spring, we're going to put it inside the Minic assembly there. Take the head, a M3 6mm screw, pop it in there, and now carefully, so you don't do that, bring them together and tighten that into the standoff inside. Get it tight. We want to make sure that it still clicks nice and easy. So now we take our push to talk cap, line the dovetails with those on the head, and just give it a gentle twist. Okay, so now that that's in place, we're going to take the lower throttle lever, flip everything over, and we're going to feed the wires through the channel going through this one until they come out the back here. And these are going to go together like so. Now carefully bring them together so nothing gets trapped in there. And we secure this using two M4 10mm screws, countersunk 10mm screws. And now that we've finished the throttle lever, we move on to the boost module. To assemble the boost module, we need the boost frame and the 20 centimeter red, black, green mag hull. We need to place the mag hull into this recess on the boost frame and feed the wires through their respective channels at the bottom of the recess. We gently pull all 3 wires from the back of the frame as we carefully seat the mag hull, making sure not to disconnect or trap any of the wires. Now we turn the frame over and secure the mag hull with 3 M4 6mm countersunk screws. Now take the boost lever and attach it to the mag hull peg, securing it with an M4 6mm countersunk screw. Now we take our 4 rods and insert them into their saddles. Ideally with the flat side down. This isn't critical, but it will make module alignment easier later on. Now we flip it over and secure the rods using 4 20mm M4 screws, countersunk screws in the bottom, and round head screws in the top. And finally, we check the lever's tension and adjust by tightening or loosening these 3 screws on the mag hull as needed. So now we take our throttle frame. You'll notice there's a recessed T in the bottom left corner there. So that shows this is the frame we need, and we need our 25 centimeter red, blue, white mag hull. Set this into throttle's plate, just like we did for the boost. Making sure that you feed the wires down through their correct channel. And gently pull them through while you seat the mag hull. And we secure this with 3 M4 6mm countersunk screws. Now we connect the throttle lever to the mag hull peg and check the tension. This is way too loose, so I'm going to tighten it up by giving each mag hull screw a quarter turn. There, much better. Now we secure this to the mag hull with another M4 6mm countersunk screw. Now we take the wires from the push to talk button and the water injection switch and feed them through the hole at the bottom of the throttle lever, making sure to pick up any slack without applying any tension to the wires. This way we make sure that the wires aren't in the way while still allowing free movement. Flip the module over and split the wires into 2 groups, the mag hull wires to the left and the 4 wires from the throttle handle to the right. Taking care not to pinch any of the wires, we fit them to the throttle wire cover, which we then secure to the frame using 2 M2 8mm round head screws. Once finished, we set the throttle module and the throttle spacer, which is also marked with a recessed T, to the side and move on to the prop module. We take the frame with the recessed P just to the left of the wire channels and attach the 30 centimeter red, black, green mag hull using the same procedure we used for the boost and throttle. Carefully feed the wires through their respective channels and secure the mag hull with 3 M4 6mm countersunk screws. With the mag hull side of the prop frame on the table, carefully fit the wires to one of the small wire covers, making sure that the wires do not cross or get pinched. and secure it to the frame using two M2 8mm round head screws. Attach the prop lever to the mag haul peg and check the tension, adjusting as needed. And once it's where we like, we secure the lever to the mag haul using another M4 6mm countersunk screw. Now set the completed prop module and the prop spacer to the side, and we'll continue on to the mixture lever, which goes together almost exactly like the prop lever. We take our last mag haul. It should have 35cm red, blue, white wires. Attach it to the mixture frame. Carefully fit the wires to the last small wire guard. Secure it to the frame with two M2 8mm countersunk screws. Attach the lever to the mag haul peg. Adjust the friction as needed. And here's the change. We secure the mixture lever with an M4 8mm countersunk screw. Now that our sub-assemblies are finished, we're ready for the final assembly. First thing we do is we take our throttle module and our boost. Take the red, white, and blue wires from the throttle module and slide them through this channel on the bottom of the boost module. And then just give them a little tie off, just so you'll know which ones are which later on. And then slide the wires from the water injection and the push to talk through the opposite hole. And now we're going to slide these together, gently pulling the wires through the channels as we go. There we are, gorgeous. And just knotting these once again for easy identification. So with the throttle module in place, we take the throttle spacer with the T on there, and with the felt side towards the throttle lever, slide it over the rods. Now we take our prop module and we do the same thing. Carefully feed the three wires through the channel. And ease them through as you slide the prop module in place. And just for safety's sake, I'm going to tie those together. Now we take the prop spacer, and just like before, felt to the lever, put that in place, take our mixture wire module, and we're going to slide the wires once again through that channel. And once again, a gentle pull while you seat the mixture module onto the rods. Now line up the front plate with the rods and secure it to the bottom two using two M4 20mm round head screws. Line up the mixture tab with the top holes and attach with the M4 20mm countersunk screws. Now we test our levers. If they're too tight at this point, you can ease all four screws off by a quarter turn, and that will loosen them up for you. Now we take our main base saddle and we line it up with these four holes on the back of the boost module, and we're going to secure that using four M4 14mm countersunk screws. take the shell and we're going to attach it to the saddle here by lining up those holes on the side. And secure it using 4 M4 14mm countersunk screws. Now it's time to wire our RJ45s. We'll start with the boost. And following the diagram that's included with the download, we can see that we put the red in the first, skip one, then the black, skip one, then the green. So just make sure that your ends of the wire, you got a little bit exposed. If you don't, just use your fingernail again and take off about 2 millimeters of the insulation. Give them a twist to make sure they're nice and tight, and connect them to the jack, making sure you get connection with the teeth. So red, skip one to green, nope, excuse me, skip one, then black, and skip one, for the green. Using the zoom on your camera's phone, excuse me, using the zoom on your phone's camera, let's take a quick photo, check to make sure that there's no frayed wires crossing over, and when you're good, this will be slotted into H8. With that in place, we're going to go on to H7. This is the water injection. And it's with nice tight wires. Blue, skip one, yellow. And that goes into H7. So now we're on to H2. So as we can see, the push to talk button and the prop mag hull have a shared black, and all 3 mag hulls on this jack have a shared red. So I've cut a 15 centimeter length of black and red just to be safe. Just give myself a little bit of wiggle room. So you're going to want to strip a couple centimeters off of one end of each of those, and just a couple millimeters off the other end. Take 2 3mm flanged screws and just get them started into A and B. And strip a couple millimeters off of each end, and then with your shared black, twist these together, and then bend them, bend that combined wire into a bit of a shepherd's crook with your screwdriver, and hook that over post B. And now tighten that screw to clamp those all in place. Okay, with the jack facing to your left, with this side being the top, your push to talk green wire goes into that very first topmost slot. And then we're going to take the green wire from the prop, excuse me, from the prop mag hull, and we're going to remove just a bit from the tip, and that goes into the slot just below the first green for the push to talk. So now we'll do the shared red. Get the red out from the throttle bundled wires and just tie those up again, just so nothing gets mixed around. Strip a couple centimeters off of each wire and take all 4 reds and combine them. Again, twist that around the blade of your screwdriver into a shepherd's crook and hook that over the M3 flanged screw in post A. So now, take the end of your ground red and put that into the first slot on the bottom of our RJ45. And clamp that down. We're now going to take the blue wire from the throttle. This one goes into the slot right above the red. We'll now do the same with the mixture wire. Right above that first blue. We now connect our shared black. The white throttle wire. And then the white mixture wire. And once again, take out your phone and get a photo to make sure there aren't any strays. Now, I'm going to put this into H2. Now, making sure not to pinch or trap any of the wires, we're going to attach the base cover to the shell here. And this will be secured with 2 M4 20mm screws at the bottom, 2 M4 20mm screws at the middle point here, and an M4 8mm round head screw here. Now we attach the dovetail to the back of the case using 4 M4 countersunk screws. With the increase pointed towards the firewall, secure this to the throttle using 4 M2 6mm self-tapping screws. Now attach the throttle label between the throttle and prop levers, open towards the firewall. Secure it once again with 2 M2 6mm self-tapping screws. Now attach the supercharger label between the boost and the throttle levers, securing it to the throttle once again with M2 6mm self-tapping screws. With the top of the writing towards the main base cover, attach this to the shell using M2 6mm countersunk screws. Carefully bend the plate to match the curve of the shell. And we're finished. That is the AuthentiKit P-47 Throttle Quadrant. All we have left to do now is to go to the rig and hook it up. So take your Ethernet cable and connect it to the RJ45 in H2. And then plug the other end of the cable into H2 on the universal hub. We're going to do the same for H7. And H8. Slide it onto the standard rig. Reconnect your hub to your computer. Now we calibrate and fly. To calibrate the throttle, we open Game Controllers on Windows, select AuthentiKit, hit Properties, go to Settings, and Calibrate. So starting with our throttle lever, push it all the way forward, pull it all the way back, hit Next, Mixture, same thing. And prop. And boost. And that is calibrated. So what do you do if you followed my video but things just didn't go together like they did for me? Don't worry, there's a support section on the AuthentiKit website. Just go to the same page you downloaded the files from, scroll down a bit and click Get Support. This takes you to a page with links to 2 comprehensive troubleshooting guides, as well as a dedicated P-47 support forum where someone may have already had the same problem and shared their answer. Still having issues? The community can help. Just please follow this list of guidance points so you know what extra info to include with your support request so we can get you sorted and in the air. Now, it's time to take up our new jug and see what Jerry has to say about 4 kilograms of API per second. I appreciate you hanging out with me at the bench today. Next time, we're going to go over the standard rig and getting it dialed in for VR. So hit those like and subscribe buttons below so you don't miss it. Thanks again for watching, and I hope your new AuthentiKit P-47 Throttle Quadrant serves you well in your eternal quest for more DACA.